Rodney King, Oscar Grant, Robert Davis, Abner Luima, Katherine Johnston, Sean Bell.
Sound familiar? These are the victims that face the worst cases of police brutality, which means there can only be more to come. Our community is constantly faced with drugs, violence, and shootings. Let's stop it now. With a new president-elect and Congress coming into office, they should focus on fixing the hole in our law enforcement's techniques, trainings, and protocols, which is that the police practically have no repercussions if they were to be involved in a hands-on excessive force situation.
Excessive force is more than the normal force used to place a suspect under arrest.
There are 5 levels of force. The first one is the officer makes their presence to defuse the crime or situation. The second level is verbalization. It usually consists of non-threatening commands. Although they may raise their voice, it's still completely harmless. The third level of force is called empty hand control, where the officer uses bodily force to gain control of the situation. The fourth level is using less lethal force, such as batons, tasers, and pepper spray. The last level is lethal force to gain more control, only if the suspect poses a threat to the officer or other individuals. This is when the officer uses their firearm.
What should be included in procedures to stop our law enforcement from having such lethal force?
Probably a better checkup on like who you are putting into the force and who is becoming an officer.
In class, what we go over with respect to police brutality and excessive force is we start out by studying the use of force continuum, which is just the range of options that an officer has available.
Community activist Jarrett Malpin and Fox 10's Troy Hayden joined deputies from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for a force-on-force training drill. In this Fox 10 video, they are experiencing a lot of shoot or don't shoot scenarios.
But what would happen if one of those protesters felt what it's like to wear a badge and then be put in a life or death situation himself? 3 scenarios where you have to decide to shoot or not shoot. Scenario 2, a call of 2 men fighting.
What's going on today, gentlemen?
Huh? What's wrong with you?
What's going on today, gentlemen?
What do you want?
What's happening here?
What's wrong with
Back
you?
up.
Huh? What are you doing, man? Hey!
Hey, he shouldn't approach me. He shouldn't approach me. He shouldn't approach me. He shouldn't approach me.
What happened in there?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You just shot him?
These aren't just scenarios. They explain to us that the officers not only have difficult decisions, but that they also have to make them quickly since their life depends on it.
The process that's taken to stop and frisk is if you have information, a law enforcement officer has information that a particular person or group of persons may have weapons or drugs, that officer can make a stop just as long as he have a viable lookout, meaning clothing description, height, weight. If those elements are given to the officer can have a stop and frisk, can make a stop and frisk on that individual or group of individuals.
The New York Civil Liberties Union says that in the first 2 quarters of 2016, which is January through June, New Yorkers were stopped by the police 7,636 times. 5,843 were totally innocent. 3,973 were black. 2,265 were Latino. And 768 were white. The goal of the NYCLU is to show the unfair treatment within a racial standpoint.
Stop and frisk isn't something that will end overnight. It also contributes to the bigger picture of police brutality. As an American citizen, to even think that a police officer could think I'm guilty and act on it truly disgusts me.
Lawyers representing the families of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, congressional leaders, and social justice advocates talked about policing behavior towards minorities. They were mainly trying to focus on the deaths of young black men and citizens' rights when pulled over.
And to the community, but also to be part of this national conversation about what we can do to improve the community-police relationship and what each one of us can do to make sure that we know our rights. And that's what this panel is all about. During the funeral, one of the young men who spoke on behalf of Michael Brown, he was a friend of his, said that Michael Brown wanted the world to know his name. And so out of this tragic, unfortunate, and unnecessary event and the circumstances following that tragic event, the fact that we had literally law enforcement agencies in Ferguson having a militarizing force in a community and turned equipment against citizens who were expressing their First Amendment right to protest.
Our government gets their source of power from the people who elect them. The government and police are services for the people to protect us from harm's way. Protocols and laws are put in place for a reason. Let's break the chain and follow them. If the government reflects the voice of the people, then why are the people whose voices are trying to be heard getting hurt? Think about you, just one voice? So speak up or remain silent.